In the aftermath of World War I, Europe was a continent in crisis. Economies were shattered, governments weakened, and millions of veterans returned to a world that no longer resembled the one they had fought to defend. In Italy, resentment ran deep. Nationalists felt betrayed. Their country had fought for the Allies but received little in return. Poverty, strikes, and political chaos threatened to tear the nation apart. It was in this turbulent environment that a man named Benito Mussolini rose to prominence. Born in 1883 in the small town of Prodapio, Mussolini was a fiery speaker, a former socialist, and a man who understood the power of spectacle and rhetoric. He promised to restore Italy's pride, to bring order to chaos, and to create a new political force that would unite the nation under a single, uncompromising vision. By 1919, Mussolini founded the Fasci Italiani di Combattimento, the Fascist Party. Its symbol, the fasces, a bundle of rods bound around an axe, represented strength through unity. It was a direct appeal to the Roman past, evoking the glory of empires and the power of authority. Fascism was not just a political movement, it was an ideology built on discipline, nationalism, and the suppression of dissent. The fascists used violence as a tool, attacking socialists, trade unionists, and anyone who opposed them. Paramilitary squads, known as the Black Shirts, marched through towns and cities, intimidating opponents and demonstrating the power of the new order. Mussolini's message was clear. Italy needed strength, and strength would be enforced through action, not debate. By 1922, Mussolini had maneuvered his way to power. The March on Rome was as much theater as threat. Thousands of black shirts converged on the capital, signaling that the king, Victor Emmanuel III, had little choice but to appoint Mussolini as prime minister. In that moment, Italy shifted from fragile democracy to authoritarian rule, and the world saw the birth of modern fascism. Fascism was not confined to Italy. Its ideology, nationalism, militarism, and the cult of a strong leader, spread across Europe. In Germany, a young Adolf Hitler studied Mussolini's methods, borrowing the techniques of propaganda, mass rallies, and paramilitary intimidation. In Spain, Portugal, and even parts of Eastern Europe, similar movements arose, each adapting fascist principles to their own context. Mussolini had shown that a single man, armed with ideology and spectacle, could bend a nation to his will. And before we continue, if you're intrigued by the hidden currents of history that shaped the modern world, take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, and leave a comment about what fascinates you most about the rise of fascism. And don't forget to subscribe to @Looking Back in Time for more in-depth historical documentaries that reveal the forces behind the headlines. Mussolini's regime was built on propaganda and fear. Newspapers were censored, elections manipulated, and schools reshaped to teach loyalty to the state. Yet the ideology promised renewal, the rebirth of Italy as a great power. In the 1930s, Mussolini's ambitions extended abroad. He invaded Ethiopia, defying the League of Nations, and sought to carve out a new empire reminiscent of Rome's ancient conquests. Fascism was no longer just a domestic tool. It was an ideology with global aspirations. The consequences of fascism's rise were profound. Italy's aggressive policies emboldened other authoritarian leaders. Hitler's alliance with Mussolini and the Rome-Berlin axis paved the way for the outbreak of World War II. Fascism, born from post-war chaos in Italy, became a template for violence, oppression, and conquest on a scale the world had never seen. Today, the origins of fascism serve as a warning. Mussolini's Italy demonstrates how political instability, economic despair, and charismatic leadership can combine to produce ideologies that promise unity but deliver tyranny. It reminds us that the seduction of power, when left unchecked, can reshape nations, and that the lessons of the past are never as distant as they seem. Fascism began with one man in a turbulent Italy, but its shadow stretched across continents and decades. The rise of Mussolini was not just an Italian story. It was the beginning of a global ideological shift, one whose consequences are still felt in the modern world.